Alright guys, it is time for game number 3, Printf versus FLuX, series number 2. This is the game that decides it, folks, and this is definitely a map that favors FLuX a bit, I think. We'll get into that in a moment. In the bottom right of the map, it is our pink Zerg player, Frenetic FLuX. And in the bottom left of the map, it is his opponent, the green Protoss player, Quasar's Printf. So first things first, guys, as you can see, this is another 4-player map. You can get any kind of spawn combination location that you want. So it's going to come down to, in this particular case, since they're close, I think this is close by ground, actually. Yeah, because the ramps are actually pointing at the... Wait. If we went this way... No, this is technically close by air. Well, the thing is, none of that matters because Printf is actually scouting in the wrong direction. So he's going to find his opponent's base very, very, very late here. And you can even see that he's actually putting the pylon on the low ground here, just in case he has to go into a macro game. Because if you can't find your opponent fast enough, these cannon rushes become incredibly difficult to use, like on the ramp here to lock everything down. He might try to use one back here to cancel the expansion. But we probably won't. He probably will not be able to win the game with the typical strategy that we actually see him use here. So this could be a pretty interesting game, I think. Meantime, though, as I was going to say, otherwise, I mean, even if you had scouted him first, this is a pretty large map. Gives FLuX a little bit more time to respond, and you can even see here he's not going for the fast pull that he won for last time, which proved to be very effective against Printf. He's actually going for standard pull timing, pull first into expansion, and his opponent's probe, after having sent a second one out there, is getting there just now. So he did scout this a little bit late, but he has kind of gotten here in time to start the cannon rush. And you can even see that's what he's doing here, is there's no drone actually from FLuX to check if this is there. He needs to figure this out in the vicinity of now. There isn't really going to be a whole lot he can do if he waits too long. And he's checking up there. He does see it. And down goes one cannon. He's putting a new pylon on the outside. And FLuX's response this time is to immediately go for a spine crawler within range. Probe's trying to respond on that. Zuling's about to come out, though. So he's going to do some damage to the spine crawler. He's going to put some more cannons down. And it's kind of the same deal as last time. He wants to lock this space down, so it makes it very, very difficult for FLuX to expand. This is made all the better by the fact that FLuX this time does not actually have a drone out there, I don't think, so he can't expand quietly to the third base like he tried to do in the first game. So he's going to have to actually just bust out of here, and unfortunately there's so many cannons that he's being forced quite far back into his base. So, you know, this is kind of an interesting situation. You can see him going for a lot of links here. Personally, I don't know what he does in this situation because, you know, the most important thing to holding off a cannon rush is to, of any kind with any race, is to kind of stop it before it happens. But once it's gotten this far, you pretty much have to go with the hope and pray sort of mentality here and just keep as many of your units and your stuff alive as you can for as long as possible. Spine crawler up needs a lot more than just that, though, to really break through any of this. And yeah, he's going to go up into lair. Now, one of the unfortunate things here is that since this probe is still alive, Printf will be able to dive forward and scout this really, really easily. And once he sees it, we'll probably start seeing some cannons placed down in Printf's base back home, just for the possibility of mutilisks. Other things could have Nidus Swarm, could go up to Swarm Host. Swarm Hosts would be, if you could get enough of them, would be pretty decent. And he's going to race past the cannons, loses vast majority of his links in the process. Going to scout out onto the map. Once this cannon finishes, these 3 lings will not be able to do much in the base here. FLuX would need the micro of a god on top of Printf having incredibly, incredibly bad micro to really do any damage here with this. In fact, he's going to get here just in time. Oh, sorry. Shoot. Sorry about that. And he's going to get there in time to see that nothing's happening, and then we can see that Printf is going with his usual follow-up here. 4-gate variety of some kind. Cannon in the main base. And yeah, he has seen the lair, so he knows about this coming. Spine crawler. Infestation pit, though. So the cannons in this particular situation was a guess. He had to dive in with his probe. He has seen this. It's a walled off, though. Probe dies. And the other probe has gone home, so you can't continue buildings over here. Can't continue building over here. Yeah, okay. So it's blink into Stalker 4-gate. And we'll probably see him go up into a robo once he realizes if swarm hosts are here. And yeah, here they come. 2 swarm hosts, 3 swarm hosts. That's actually enough to break down this cannon wall pretty quickly. This is going to be an awkward place, and this is a nice move from FLuX going out here to spread the creep a little bit more in this direction. Loses the creep tumor, though, which is a bit unfortunate. And here come these swarm hosts. They are burrowing here at the front. Robo's on its way. Almost done here. 1 locust, 2 locusts, 3 locusts. FLuX. There he goes. Gonna plant them back down to the ground. Unfortunately, they're a bit staggered, so it's not quite as effective. 4th swarm host is out. It's trying to wait for the bubbles to resurface so you can get them all down at the same time. It's actually going to be quite a bit. It's going to be really difficult, I think, with this many swarm hosts in play to actually kill this. He's diving forward to try and do something about it. Lings are going to bite them for attempting that, and here comes a ton of free units. So he kills off 1 stalker. He's going to probably be able to get the second one. Stalkers are trying to dive in to attack the swarm host here. There's still no detection, though. 10ling's about to come up to help back up the locust swarms. Out comes the attack. Printf is going to try and wheel around again. Observer is still halfway across the map, not quite here yet. Locusts are doing a lot of damage to this force. Spinecrawler is not quite positioned to defend this swarm host here, though, so I think there is a possibility for Printf to actually dive in and kill a few of them. If he can get them down, this will help him out a lot in this fight. 1 cannon. Here comes the Observer. There's down to 5 Stalkers, though. Has to warp in 2 more, and we're going to see an attempted attack right now. Diving forward onto the swarm host, trying to focus him down. Does kill 1. Another swarm host comes out. And the Stalkers are forced out of the base. So FLuX holds, and Printf is not going for the expansion just yet. He's trying to build one, but unfortunately he built a gateway on top of the location where he wants to expand it. At least I assume that's the reason he's killing it. And he's also now supplied what? We're going to see. Nope. He's actually put. There it is. There's the expansion. So he's going to go for. I guess we're going to see kind of a macro game now. Because the 4-gate was held off. The swarm hosts are now in play. He cannot attack this army until he gets a lot of Colossus. So he kind of needs it. Especially if the swarm host numbers continue to climb. He needs a surprise air switch, or he needs a lot of Colossus. But yeah, the surprise air switch would be able to work here if he was able to get enough. Man, I can see there's a Stargate. If he can get enough Void Rays up, or I guess Phoenixes would work too. That he can get them in play before Hydralisks can come out to protect the army, or a lot of Spore Crawlers. The thing is, though, this attack is coming sooner rather than later by the look of it, and Printf may be unable to really do much about this for quite a while. Mortal on the high ground here. 3 more swarm hosts coming out, and we may be in for a decently long Printf game for once. Decently long, we mean perhaps normal. Maybe 25 minute game. Swarm hosts, by their very nature, as long as they're able to not just get sniped off, they do really, really extend the length of the game. Because FLuX will be kind of unable to really push with these things, and Printf will be unable to push into them. Link's trying to engage the Stalkers over here. Stalker's able to win that pretty handily. There's the Lyote, hanging out in the middle of the map. My bad. I did not realize I had that disabled. You know what, though? For our transition to a macro game, I think this is quite quite a good time for that to come on, though. So Observer coming up here to kind of pinpoint where everything is. Gonna get picked up on by the Overseer, but there's no anti-air here, so he is safe to wander in to see the location of the swarm hosts. You guys will recall, if you have not seen it yet, Bling versus Snoot. There was a daily done on that a few days ago. Bling used a very, very nice Colossus based army to poke away at the swarm host until he was able to get enough bases to transition into the unending Protoss air fleet. It was a very, very interesting game to watch. Printf going to destroy another gateway in order to break a hole in the wall. That was another pylon. Actually supply blocking himself for a moment. It's going to delay our Void Ray production by a little bit. Not too much though. And Spire for FLuX. So it looks like what we're seeing here is going to maybe be Corruptor Swarm Host, maybe. Could also be going for just Mutalisks. Just use this ball of Swarm Host to kind of keep them at bay for now and then go into an air army from here. The question will be if Printf is able to accurately anticipate whatever he's going for. I mean, if he does pick Corruptors, this Void Ray army will be very, very strong. On the other hand, if his opponent goes for Mutalisks, they will tear apart a Void Ray army if there's enough of them. The Void Rays get no bonus damage against the Mutalisks. They clump up on top of each other. The bounce is really, really good from the Mutas. They don't have a lot of health, so if you can get enough Mutalisks, it can be really, really, really bad. If you can't get enough of them, the Void Rays will just kill them all pretty quickly. Overseer's flying into the base. He sees 3 Stargates and, of course, 3 Void Rays. He does lose its life, but gives important information to the Swarm. And we're going to see Spore Crawlers actually popping up in the base just in the short term to help protect against any attempted snipes. And let's see what he goes for. Army base is actually kind of mined out up here, so FLuX is going to need a 4th pretty soon. And we have a move out from Printf here. Decently sized force against a ground army. I don't think this will do so great, though, against this many Locusts. Plus, they have Spine Crawlers for defense, a couple Spore Crawlers in play. The real question will be, can you keep the anti-air busy enough or kill it off so that the Void Rays can pick off all the Swarm Hosts? That's kind of what I think Printf is trying to accomplish here. FLuX realizes this is going on, is now rallying the Locusts to the high ground here. Printf is positioning himself to attack the 3rd, and here we go. Stalker's moving into position. He's going to do some work onto the base here. Kills off the Spore Crawler really quickly. More Swarm Hosts being built, and a Hydra Den is just about to finish. They are getting upgrades for the air yet, but we're not seeing a move to use it, so it looks like he just is going to bide his time. Now, he did lose this entire hatchery right there, but he did keep a lot of the workers. Didn't lose too many of them. Plus, he has a second one coming up as well, so he should be able to transition into that. This does buy Printf some time, though. Looks like he saw that Bling versus Snoot game as well, the carrier building. And unfortunately, though, it looks as if Printf is not too used to building this kind of army, as he's getting supply blocked very frequently here, and it's giving FLuX a lot of time. Like, even losing this hatchery here, that's blunting the advantage he was able to obtain by quite a bit. So transitioning into Swarm Host Hydra. Locust engaging at the front here. Definitely a good position for FLuX if he's able to keep that going. And the music totally stopped playing, didn't it? Does that make it come back? This is a strange problem, guys. I don't know what's going on here. Nope, still not coming back. Weird. Anyway, hello, Nakedex. Or Nakedex, depending on how you want to word that one. So pretty much what we're watching here is last game of Printf versus FLuX. Printf's expanding across the map, getting carriers, getting a big air army, trying to imitate his best Bling. FLuX channeling Snoot, getting lots of Swarm Hosts, going up into Hydratech, and we are seeing what is very inherently strange, a macro game in which Printf is involved. Looks like Printf's getting a little bit on top of these supply blocks, though, so it looks like that might be a little bit less of an issue. Pathogen glands. So FLuX is preparing himself get infestors if he believes it would be wise to do so. He's now at 2-2. His opponent has +1 air attacks coming up in just a moment. Music still refuses to cooperate. So here's the thing, guys. See this? I disabled this because I noticed what it tends to do is it just tends to turn on the menu music from outside of the game. That didn't work either. Okay, so I had no idea what's going on. Hopefully the game will remember that music is in fact a thing that we enjoy, and we'll start playing it again shortly. If you're hearing some ambient noise in the background, there are people doing, I think, landscaping. One of the houses nearby. A little bit of an annoyance, but we got to put up with it. Swarm host assault is beginning. This is a very difficult moment for Printf, as once these locust swarms reach a certain point, they just become incredibly dangerous to engage. And with as many hydras as there are back here, I don't think you can actually attack this very well. You're going to see him try to move out against it. You can't move into the locust army directly, though. We're going to see him try and loop around. He's not quite able to do that. One thing that Bling did have going for him, though, was cross positions in the game that he played. So it was possible to run around this kind of empty space in the middle of the map. Printf is not able to do that, so he has to run all the way down on the bottom and then up, or up and then around. It's kind of a difficult thing either way. Lots of carriers in play, but the carriers can't stop the damage. Down go some more pylons. And it looks like he wants to push forward from here, but it's has he finally actually hit the point where he has enough carriers to really do this? No, it's still getting some damage in. As long as the locusts get in range to do damage in some way, they're trying to. I think he's rallied them onto this cannon. Creep spread is still pretty far behind. Once that catches up a bit, we'll see the locust swarms start to inch closer and closer to the base. Ooh, he sees the transition of probes going north, though. And unfortunately, there isn't really a lot that FLuX can actually do about that. He's spotted it, but his army is firmly planted in place. Could send a couple infestors north to try and do some damage up there. There is no detection, so he would be able to do a nice little infested Terran attack. Retreating the swarm hosts into the Hydra army as Printf seems to be moving out for an attack. Just going to keep them on the creep for now. Replant, re-attack. Meanwhile, FLuX taking the top right of the map. Just spreading his influence out there as much as he possibly can. Still not working. Sound effects are working. I don't know what to say, guys. And yeah, he's replacing his ground army with a Templar here. So definitely, Printf definitely saw that daily, or he really thoroughly analyzed the Bling versus Snoop game. Kind of going for the same basic thing. Doesn't have any Tempest, though, which is the only concerning thing about this. His army cannot engage against any of the static defenses, even really. I mean, the Hydras make it incredibly bad, but he can't really attack into that without the Tempest. Anyway, here comes fungal growths going down on top of the army. Here come the Hydras. Looks going to try and engage against this directly. Kills the Void Rays off, leaving pretty much just the carriers, but it loses pretty much all of his Hydras at the same time. There's so much in the way of static defenses, though, that this is not an appealing target to engage into. He does have a High Templar at the front that might actually lose a few of these swarm hosts here. Outrunning the locusts. Gets away. And now he's going to maybe go south? No. FLuX does have an Overlord position, no, Zergling position down here to watch this potential engagement area. 3 more carriers coming out. We are starting to reach ridiculous carrier numbers. There's only a single Void Ray to help out with that. A couple more Hydras coming into play. There are so many Spore Crawlers here, and so many more Interceptors. So the thing is, this is an extremely expensive army to maintain. You lose a lot of money just from having to rebuild the Interceptors. But it's not a problem for Printf, as he has now taken the top part of the map. Thing is, again, just the lack of defenses up here would mean a few Lings would go a real long way to pushing this army into places it doesn't want to be. And Printf has now realized that he can go to other parts of the map, and FLuX can't really stop him. Somehow that carrier army did not see that Zergling. Okay. Vipers pulling the carriers on top of Hydralisks. A good situation to be in. For some reason, the Corruptors were shooting at one of their own for a moment there. A lot of carriers in the army still, but Corruptors now in play. Able to engage against the carriers, pulling them out, and he's picking them off. Whoa, sorry about that. He's picking them off one by one here. I really should just turn off mouse scroll during these games. And the thing is, this army, even though he does have the economy to replace this very quickly, carriers take like 2 minutes to build. So every time he does damage to the army like this, it's putting him into a position where he's going to be a little bit less able to deal with this. Templar army starting to grow in size, warping in some zealots, which is honestly not going to do a whole lot. Locusts are incredibly good against zealots. They will tank for all of about a minute, using storms to hold this off. It only works for a little while, though. Corruptors have now joined the fray, and not being right-clicked onto carriers. Carriers are the most efficient units, actually, in a move engagement. But as you can see, it doesn't take much to overcome that. And the carriers are pretty much out of action. That is an incredible loss for Printf. And it will mean that FLuX will actually be able to push forward with his army again soon. You can even see as the swarm hosts uprooted. Not continuing to spread creep, though, is about the only thing that could probably make this push a little bit stronger. Replanting the swarm hosts is going to begin in the next phase of his assault. Out come the corruptors to the other side of the map. Looks like he's going to use them to see what's going on up in the north. Kind of an interesting way to scout. Sees a base that's been picked up here. And we have 24 lings immediately in production. Mothership. Okay. This can be a pretty effective move against the swarm host. There's so much detection over here, though, that I don't think it's actually going to do much, really. It is a nice move all the same, and it's really fancy and awesome for us to see. Storming these locusts a little bit there. Losing one High Templar, almost losing another. I gotta say, this has actually turned into a really cool game. I will still continue to kind of just hopelessly press that button. Looks like FLuX is just going to start killing Nexai up here. If the entire army moves to respond to this, there will be nothing to deal with the locusts, so Printf is kind of locked in position. The lings actually give FLuX an incredibly strong position here, and he's just going to keep going north and killing bases, and this is incredibly scary for Printf. He's just going to lose pretty much all of his economy. He's trying to build pylons in order to build cannons, and down goes the next nexus. If he starts building things up here, maybe. No, lings are actually going to engage this immediately. And this is incredibly rough. He doesn't have anything in his main. He's barely mining on his natural. And Printf is going to be reduced basically to one basing shortly here. He does have a decent bank, though, so he can kind of keep this up for a little while, which is why pushing right now seems like a good move. He's going out on top of the army, didn't really lose anything. It looks like he's considering storming in that spot. The cloak does not work at this range, though, as you can see, because the vision of the Spore Callers is enough. He's throwing in a few storms in there to try and do some damage to the Storm Host, and the Corruptors kind of misses with most of them. And pulls the Mothership over the Corruptors, takes that out. Cloaking is now gone. Lots of carriers in here, but the Vipers are doing a good job picking out their numbers. Spore Callers doing a good job as well, protecting the main of the army. And I think Printf has just taken too much damage, guys. He's got maybe one more round of carriers if he wants. I would even get him up to 7 carriers. Okay, can't do math, but whatever. He's basically broke now. And now Printf is actually just checking around the rest of the map to see if he's taken any other bases. This is a really rough situation. So here comes another 7 carriers. Plus, actually should wait probably until the next round of carriers is done, or he's going to be attacking with a piecemeal army. It looks like he's kind of okay with that. Loses all of the High Templar. Yes. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I was actually almost wondering if it would see, like, if he would actually go out of his way to pick up a Neural Parasite and just mind control the Mothership. It's the only thing anybody ever uses it for. And with that done, the carriers are going to try and move around the army, see what damage they can get done. He's set off the alert, though, and the Corruptors are moving into position to defend if necessary. Printf is now doubling back. Next 7 carriers are just about to finish back home. How are we on upgrades, actually? Does he have... okay, he's still only at 2 armor and 3 attack. Slight upgrade advantage, I think, in terms of just having 3 attack against his opponent. For FLuX. He's taking a lot of damage from it too, though. I'm not sure if these Corruptors... yeah, they still only have +1 army. He's actually about to get +2. It's going to take quite some time for that to finish. And there you go, guys. This is a 34-minute game. This is unprecedented. We are having a 34-minute Printf game. Unfortunately, he's getting kind of choked out here, it looks like, by his opponent. He really needed to keep those bases alive. And here comes the engagement. Moves forward, does kill one Corruptor at the edge there. May get a Viper. Nope, doesn't quite get it. Kind of repositioning so that the observers are actually at the front of the army. And pulls one carrier in at the cost of a couple Corruptors. Just pulling the rest of the carrier army in here. This is a huge number of carriers. All the way up to 15 carriers. Takes out the next one. Continuing to micro against this. Without the Spore Crawlers there, this is a much more difficult army to engage. Pulls in another carrier. Kills another one. And it looks like the engagement is going to begin proper now. FLuX is going to start focusing down the carriers as fast as he can, but his Corruptor numbers are continuing to dwindle. No attempted micro from Printf here. And the Corruptors are just going to try and escape. He's running back to the safety of the Spore Crawlers, which for some reason have completely all uprooted and are now going to try and root under the carriers. I think he's completely underestimating the damage output of these carriers, though, as they're going to basically pick off most of them before they even root into the ground. The ones that do get into the ground are starting to attack, but there's just not enough here. And, well, this is an incredibly awkward situation. Printf does not have another army. He is basically broke. FLuX still is mining from 3 bases, though, so if he can get up enough Corruptors and rally them away from the carriers, he still may be able to kill this army, and Printf will not have a response. He needs not only to start killing with this army, but he needs to take another base. He can't afford to do that, but it looks like he's just going all in here, and this is basically his last hurrah. Now, if he can get the Spire, he's going to slow us down tremendously, and he gets the upgrade, too! +2 does not finish. Hydra Den goes down. He's killed off the tech. How many Corruptors are we at? We are at a total of 16 Corruptors, going to be 19 Corruptors. We have Archons warping in back home. Gas income being about the only thing that Printf has at this point. Makes a lot of sense. Still doesn't have a lot to deal with the remainder of these swarm hosts. If the air army dies, Printf's still looking around for bases to kill. Looks like he's trying to build another lair at the natural here of this other spawn location. And the printer, however, the carrier army is just coming up here. He misses that Corruptor. For some reason, this Corruptor is being brave and hanging out near the army. And it looks like Printf is actually looking for the swarm hosts here. I don't think he has any detection in the army, though. So he actually can't kill them. He's going to kill everything else here, though. Does get the 2 Spine Crawlers. Big attack of Lings actually going into the main base back here, and he's kind of drawing the Corruptors back home. I mean, drawing the carriers back home right now. If he doesn't do that, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. We have a decent number of Infestors here as well. Loses 2 carriers. Archon's trying to join the engagement here, but again, we're just forgetting about the Locusts. They come out to deal with the Archon fairly quickly. Good fungal growth there to do a lot of damage to the carriers. And he brings the carriers number down to 5. Still no detection here, though. Still not able to deal with the swarm hosts. Can kill the Locusts off as they appear. Some of them. The rest are going to get away. And here comes an observer. Finally, the swarm hosts have been dealt with by our Protoss player. And he's ninja expanding to the north. This is going to take a while before he can actually mine anything from that, though. A lot of cannons. Lots of cannons up here. None up here, though. So if he ran up into the main base, he could actually start hitting at the tech. But not quite able to make that happen. The phone is ringing. Somebody's calling the house. The carriers are now attacking this base. Spire is only halfway done. Okay, this is starting to look pretty scary for FLuX. If he loses that, I think he may actually lose the game. Oh, he's got a second one building. Where's this one? Okay, it's up here. So if he can buy himself a little bit of time, he may be able to get a decent number of Corruptors out. And once he can do that, he can do a lot of damage here. Ooh, look at that. Zergling's actually just hanging out in the base up here. I don't think FLuX quite real. Yes, he does. Okay, he's got the Lings to deal with that. Oh no! If Printf loses the space, he can't mine anymore. He can't even build another probe. He can distance mine from down here with his remainder. Does he have any probes? He does have 16 probes, and they're still hanging out in the natural down here. So if he can distance mine with those safely for a while, then he will be able to build up enough money to build another Nexus. But this is a pretty scary situation. Corruptors, 16 Corruptors coming out. 3 of them are going to spawn right there. The rest down here and down here. He needs to gather them up before he can engage the carriers, though. And I have to say, this is turning into a huge, like a really scary situation. Is that actually enough interceptors? Nope, guys. An entire space-based capital ship fleet, it still takes him, like, maybe a minute or 3, really, to kill an egg. That's hilarious. No, he's got to get these out of here. Leaving these here is very, very dangerous. He's about to lose another base. Still has this one down here. FLuX doesn't have enough to actually build another hatch. Well, he's getting another hatchery, actually. Okay, down here. He's able to build another hatchery. But does he have much in the way of drones? So he has 4 drones. This is unusual. Yes, yes it is. Corruptor army more than enough to actually kill this now. It still would be close. He wants to get a good engagement. Preferably he wants to hit the carriers when they're focusing on something else. Here comes the Corruptor fleet coming to engage. And focusing down the first carrier. Is able to get that. That's a lot of its DPS. And now that he's down to 3, I actually don't think he can kill the army anymore. And FLuX has survived. He has survived the Great Carrier Purge of 2014. Big distance mining operation going on here. Printf needs to protect this for quite a while. If FLuX shows up down here and is able to kill these, Printf is basically dead. It will only be a matter of time before the Zerg swarms rebuild. Forward come the Corruptors. They're going to see the distance mining going on. And we're probably going to see the Lings get pulled down here. Here they come. He's going to just plant them down here and cover this area. He's watching the mining. Printf has been able to make it up to about 100 minerals. One random Ling is attacking this simulator for some reason. There's a probe here. Don't ask me what's going on. Here come the Lings, and now he's going to do a number on the probes. 1, 2, 3, and he can just wait down here, and he can use the Corruptors to spot where they try to mine from next. I think FLuX has done it. I think he's done it, guys. Kills a few more probes. He was able to pull in just enough resources to build an Archon. Well, I think we're just waiting for Printf to accept defeat here. He's going to push out with the probes and try and engage the... Oh, he might push out... Yeah, if he can engage the Lings, he might be able to buy himself enough time. Archons are fat. Yeah, he can. Oh, he has to kill the Cybernetics card. No! He has to rebuild that piece of tech. Oh, the fact that he has to do that is actually going to probably kill him. Because even if he takes care of this Ling army down here... yeah. Well, FLuX is at the bottom of the tech tree too, apparently. I don't know. Are we really going to see more game here, guys? Are we really, like... We're not done yet? Oh, I can't believe this. This is amazing. This is the longest Printf show match that has ever occurred. I'm usually done before the hour is up. That is not the case here. This is going to be a hell of a download as well. Oh, shoot. Don't tell me I'm like... I think I recorded these in 1080p, even though I'm broadcasting 720 to the local recording, so... Yeah, it's not going to look quite perfect at 720, but whatever. Anyway, here comes the attack. Oh, but there's now Infestor tech. Linksurround comes up here. He throws down... all he has to do is really kill the probes. He doesn't even really need to kill the Archon. And that's GG! The game is over! FLuX takes series number 2.